in my ninth grade, I did not watch anything apart from Tarak Mehta Ka Ulta Chashma, and that's
Oh my
popular thing.
God.
I did not watch
Why would
anything
you,
apart from that.
why would you mention that?
Okay, fine. I mean, I
Let's
watched
cut.
it.
Can we cut
Okay,
this out?
okay.
Nice.
Hi there. I'm Harsh. I'm Harsh Vaid from Aid for Ed Youth Foundation. I am the co-founder and the director of marketing and development in the organization. And this is the first episode of The Starting Point, a brand new podcast in which we'll be joined by guests all over India who have done various ventures, who have explored various ventures. Some of them are social workers, some of them are leading entrepreneurs, and everyone. Today, I am joined by two of them. Both of them are from Hoppin Media. I'm joined by Aryan Kamdar, who is the founder of Hoppin Media, and by Saanika Agarwal, who is the co-founder of Hoppin Media. I'll tell more about them later, or we can hear about Hoppin Media from them as well. Right, Aryan, would you go for a short introduction of yourself first, and then we can start?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Harsh. I'm really grateful for being over here, first and foremost. And thank you so much for inviting me to the show. And speaking about myself, well, I'm Aryan Kamdar. I'm 16 years old, and I completed my grade 10 from Srimati Sulochana Devi Singhania School. And currently, I'm pursuing ISC Commerce, grade 11th in Singhania School itself. And I love writing, reading, and of course, I've got that acumen for entrepreneurship within me as well. Thank you.
So yeah, already I've got many points we can talk about. Hi, Saanika. We can go for a short introduction of yours.
So, hi everyone. I'm Saanika Agarwal. I'm a passionate and enthusiastic person. I add the fun to the fundamental rights of feminism. And I'm currently doing IB at Oberoi International School, JVLR. And yeah, I'm also an enthusiastic reader like Aryan. I like to read fiction and autobiographies. And yeah, that's about me. I like sketching, I like designing, graphic designing, and traveling and like visiting historic places. And yeah, I like networking and associating with new people.
Right. That was a good introduction for both of you guys, I would say. Now, this is my first time, and Sanika is joined for the first time on this podcast. So is Aryan. So, all right, let's jump right into the topic. Both of them are from Hoppins Media. You can check them out on Instagram. The link will be in the description below. But let's hear about them first, about Hoppins Media. So, like, who would like to start? Like, tell me about Hoppins Media. Like, what is it for someone who doesn't know about it? How should we put
I guess let's divide it first. I guess Sanika would like to speak about the history of Hoppin Media because she was the one who started it first. And then I can explain the concept of Hoppin Media to you then.
So, Hoppin Media, I would say, was more like a fluke for us because I was just browsing through Instagram, and in the pandemic, I obviously really wanted to do something and, to keep myself engaged and also help the community at the same time. And I wanted to do something productive, like not like making something like edits, or obviously people do that, but I wanted like something that would broaden my knowledge and my horizon. So then I thought of like starting an Instagram page, but then I couldn't come up with a name for it. Every name on Instagram, every name was literally taken by like random accounts. And then I wish there was a more interesting story to this, but Hoppin Media was just something the name that was free on Instagram, and I just took it and made an account. And then at the starting, of course, I posted edits and everything, and I didn't obviously tell it to anyone. And then I like pitched this idea to Aryan, and he was really happy to join and make something really awesome with it.
right?
No,
Like,
okay, so
yeah,
go ahead, sure.
go on, go on. Like, I was asking,
Okay.
like, what's the mystery behind the name? Like, the name suggests you're like busy all the time, you're like active, but like, is there something more than that to like the name of Hoppin Media?
Aryan, you would like to explain, or should I?
Yeah. Okay, fine. I'll go ahead. So, as Sanika said that this was a total fluke, and since there weren't any names on Instagram, there weren't any good names on Instagram that were not taken up, and Open Media was something that occurred to Sanika, not me, of course. So, she thought of this name, and it does not mean anything in particular, does it, Sanika? But then, yeah,
Sorry to interrupt. If you like take the literal meaning of it, it's just hop in and take the knowledge.
yeah, that's exactly what I said in my last podcast. So it's just like poetic. You can draw any meaning out of it, even though it might not have any meaning. So hop in, yeah, of course, hop into and take in the knowledge.
Right. That's interesting so far. And like, how was it? How did you settle the team? And what was the content team about? Like, how was the team management going on initially?
Okay, so initially it was started by me and Saanika. So it was just us. We were operating the entire thing. We were doing the marketing. We were doing the editing. We were posting it on Instagram. We were sending it across to our friends. So it was just us at the very start. But then later we felt the need for a team because at some point your company needs to be autonomous, right? Because you cannot expect to continue by your own selves. So we decided to start a community for Hoppin Media, and that's where we pitched in the idea to the people, to our followers, and many of them enthusiastically joined us, and that's where it all started.
Just to add on, so initially it was just the two of us, but now we're a good community of 35 people with editors, graphic designers, content writers, and everybody.
Yeah,
And when was this project started? Like, how many months?
6 months down the line in April.
April, yeah.
Right. And like, were there any specific difficulties, or like everyone was very communicative at the beginning?
Well, there were definitely several hurdles that we faced in the beginning because when you're operating an entire thing, an entire page by only two people, there are surely difficulties that you're sure to come across. So yeah, we came across certain difficulties like there were time management problems. We were not able to create many posts at the same time because when you're starting a page, you need to post regularly, right? Because the Instagram algorithm works in this manner that the more you post, the more Instagram boosts your content, right? So it was like that. So we had to manage time accordingly. We had to create content. We had to find writers, and then we had to convince people to write for us because you also need to give them some incentive, right? Just apart from featuring them on your page with a limited number of followers, then what do you expect? Will they write it or not? So of course we had got some friends of our own. So we were able to convince them. We were able to pitch them the idea. We were able to rope them in, and then they sent in the articles. We edited them and posted them. But then again, as I said, told to you that at some point the community needs to be autonomous. You cannot just depend on people to keep sending in the articles. So we decided to create this community, and once the community got established, we just pitched in the ideas to people. We sent in the topics every day. People voluntarily took them up, and they started sending them on our official Gmail ID. So it became autonomous basically.
Right. So, like initially, you guys started with your friends, and slowly and gradually, it expanded to the next level.
Exactly. And then we also seek several collaborations in between with other communities because you need to grow mutually, right? So that's why.
I think just to add on, I think more of the high part was that in the starting we had to approach people to like give us articles, but when like we got the knack of it, we got like we need to change our page, we need to better the editing and everything. People actually like obviously in our circle and from outside, the page got a lot of traction, and now generally we don't need to approach people, they come to us to like write the articles and get featured on the page. I think that was one high point for Hoppin. And obviously there was time management problems. Like we both are busy, we both are in 11th standard, and there's a lot to like study.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I think the best part about it is that we can always talk it out and manage our time. And even if sometimes we miss a post for like a week or something, we always get back, which a lot of communities touchwood cannot do. So yeah.
Sure. Like initially, one of the biggest problem was time management because it was a small team. As I see, but slowly as the team expanded, the time management problem was eradicated.
Yeah, exactly.
But and like, how did you approach the ones? Like, some of them were friends, but what was the incentive for the new ones?
Yeah, so definitely we had to give them some incentives. So right now the situation is not of that matter that we have to give them incentives, several incentives to invite them to join, because many of them are voluntarily filling up our registration form and they are joining our team after an interview. But then initially we had to give them some incentives. So of course we gave them incentives like maybe you could add on to your CSRs, CASRs. That's one thing. Then we told them that we would teach you Instagram marketing, LinkedIn marketing, because these two platforms are two digital marketing platforms that are used by many companies, and digital marketing is obviously in a boom right now. So that was one incentive that we gave to the people, and then obviously there was featuring in a page, being a part of the community, learning to socialize, learning to meet more people, learning how to develop interpersonal skills. So these were the things that we pitched to them while roping them in.
Also, I think that at this stage we cannot offer them more than a certificate and like a mentorship program or something like that. But I think the youth of today, or like the students of like our age, mentorship is more than like incentive for them. Like they want to learn, they want to
Yeah, I
like
think that work
get
experience thing
better.
is there.
Yeah, the work
Work
experience is
experience. In fact, adding on to what Saanika was saying, I was looking for internships because the concept of internships really fascinated me a lot while the summer break was going on, and then there was the pandemic outside. So we could not get out of our home. So what to do? To maybe do an online internship. So that's when I was looking for internships on LinkedIn, and that's exactly the point where I started with LinkedIn initially. So I was thinking that obviously that if people have a community to join, then they won't refuse the idea of joining it, to be a part of something, right? So that's another thing.
Yeah, and like you guys started with the incentives that you're getting the work experience. Like right now, the biggest intern like the incentive as I see is the work experience, which I would say personally that for the last couple of years when people were at home, they were looking for more like remote jobs, more internships than they used to do
Exactly.
before. Yeah. And how is it going on now? Like, how do you research a content, or how do you approach about any topic or any another post? How, like, what's the process?
we have. I think Hoppin has been a long journey, and we have evolved a lot. So at the starting, we used to like just you get content on the internet, you just twist it a little and put it. But now we actually look into the research. What would like if in a post, if you're scrolling through Instagram and you come across a post, you give it like what 60 seconds, 1 minute. So how much can we explain in 1 minute? How much would the reader like to read per slide? Like you wouldn't be reading more than one line, right? So we try to explain the current news and the important concepts in one liners and 1 minute posts.
Yeah, another thing is that the news articles that we have nowadays, even if they're shortened, they're filled up with jargon, in the sense they're not explained that well. So people belonging to the Gen Z, if they're reading these articles, then it's quite likely that they might not make any sense out of it. So that's another thing. So apart from reducing the content and making it succinct and precise, we are also helping it appeal more to the readers, so that they can understand it in a better manner.
Right. So, like what I can see right now is, first of all, you're making the content shorter for the time management
Yep.
thing, so that you need to give less amount of time to know more. First, and second is to make it more appealing. You're working on the graphics team so that what we call the Gen Zs of today. Like they need, like how shall I put this? You need to put it better. Even the content is great, then you need to put it in the manner they would like. So you're working on both these sectors. And by the way, like still, like how do you research your content? Like where do you get your facts, or like how is it? You just read it on the internet and then a couple of sources, all sources on the internet, and then you compile the things up, the most important things, something like that, or like how
It
I
is
think
is
it?
a
the
mix
best
of
is
that.
to
Aryan, go
yeah, go
ahead.
ahead. Okay, fine. So yeah, as I was saying that multiple articles have to be read before we finalize our own content, because several media articles they have different facts stated in them. So we have to refer to several articles first before we draft the final thing that we are going to be posting on our page. Because when multiple things are collected together, then it is definitely going to give you a mean. It is going to give you an average of everything, and it's going to remove any inefficiencies or discrepancies that might have entered in. So we have to refer to multiple articles, and then we have to draft the content accordingly, just to get the facts right.
I think I was saying the same thing, that research, and plus we can't just pick something up from the internet and put it out there, right? There are a lot of copyright issues. And I think the most important thing that I have learned writing articles for Hopin is that the better I understand the article, the better I can write it, or the better I can explain it to the viewers or the followers. That's what I think is important.
Yeah, like great point. But like when you say that you have to understand it yourself, so to present it better, like it's helping both the readers as well as yourself, I would say, in one sense. Definitely. And how was the response initially, and like how is the response now? How is the response now, and how was it back then when you started from the audience?
From the audience. So at the beginning, we were just getting followed by people who were obviously our friends and people from our school. But I think when we like decided at a point, like, no, we want to go beyond this, and we want to like make something that is more than just like our school friends and our community, we started improving our content. And I think that's what caught the people's attention, that, we're putting something out. Okay, so just yesterday I put out this article on world's toughest exams. People don't know it. There are a lot of exams like people didn't even know about. So something that you don't know about catches your attention, and you, that curiosity in you wants to like click that article and read it. So I think that's one thing.
Definitely. Like, even I went through the page and it was interesting. Like, first of all, I like what were my takeouts were, first of all, the graphics designing, like the entire pattern. It was very like, it was very subtle in one sense. And the content especially attracted me because you had taken the essential points, not the entire topic, to make it a big messy paragraph. You're taking the important lines, the one-liners, and those one-liners actually explained a lot, except for that just one line, I think. That was one of the highlights I took from the entire page. And I went through the one you were saying, the first one was UPSC exams, and I saw that page that last yesterday. And how was the team responding? Like, like even we run an organization, we have got a team, and I can see like at times within the team there are a few problems with people. Like, after all, people do have problems. So how did you deal with those problems? Like, were there any such problems, or everything was going fine?
Okay, so while creating this community, when we pitched this form, we got a good response, I would say. So about 20 people had initially registered to be a part of this community. So while I created the WhatsApp group, I thought that if I asked the people just to, maybe send in introductions, random introductions, maybe they would be formal and stuff, which wouldn't create as much as an impact. Because again, this is a community which is meant for the Gen Z, and when you are dealing with the Gen Z, you should deal with something, you should actually create something which would appeal to them and their peers, right? So instead of asking them to send in their introductions, what I asked them to send in were their favorite stickers. And so stickers, in the sense, random WhatsApp stickers, GIFs. And that's how people started sending them in. They started interacting with each other. They started laughing at each other's stickers. They started saving them. So it creates a sort of a bond as well while you are, sending them in. And because another thing is that when people don't know each other, because it's not necessary that the people that the response that we got were people from our own school itself. People from other schools, from other colleges responded as well. So we had to create a bond between the people who don't even know each other, a more like a cohesive bond, so that people don't, soon get detached, disinterested, or something like that. So that's why that was one major challenge. Another challenge that we faced was to create that specific bond in the community.
We have actually been blessed with a very awesome community and team. I can't take names of everyone, but our head of content design and editing, Ravina, Srijit, and Shriya, that's our core team. Those are like very hardworking and people with amazing perspectives of the world. And then obviously I can't take names of everybody, but the other like 35 people, they're just amazing. And we try to make group people and challenge them. Like suppose a person doesn't like business, okay, so we give them articles, something to research about business, or obviously we give them topics that they're interested in as well, but something that they haven't explored that's challenging them in some way. And you'll obviously stay interested in something if it's challenging, right? Where's the interest if you're not challenging?
Yeah.
And another thing is that we haven't ever forced an article or a topic on them. We have always posted a comprehensive list of articles and then we've just simply posted them on the group and they voluntarily pick them up. So it's like they are choosing the articles of their own interest. It's nothing like a compulsion which is impelled upon them.
Like they have got their own interest in the topic as well. And how's the
Yeah.
time management? Like how many articles do you post in a week? Is there a target or like at a random pace?
Okay, so we don't have any maximum target for a particular week, but then we try to post at least twice, at least thrice rather, in a week, so that we can have an article every alternate day. So that's what our aim is for every week. But then sometimes we might exceed it. Sometimes we might not cross that limit as well. But then till now, we have tried our best to post at least 3 articles every week.
And how many content writers are there, like in specific, in the team?
There's a team of content writers. They're like
Yeah.
7 or 8. We wanted to keep the content writers less because we wanted quality content and not, even when these 6 to 7 people came to us, their content was not up to the mark or something. Like I wouldn't say up to the mark, but not the format that we follow. So we had to like mentor them on how to like write an article and how to make it into something that you could read in 1 minute. Also, shout out to our finance guys, Hoppin Finance, Shreyansh and Satej. They're doing a really nice job with coming up with, like, we have a separate section for finance and they write some finance news every week. So that's nice.
A few of them were interested and a few of them were interested, not up to the mark, but you had to nurture them at times.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Right. And another pickup, like all of your content is based upon education. And Aryan, as like even before the interview when we talked, you said about the need for education in India. Like, what's your viewpoint? Like, what is that exact need about? Like, what do you think about the current education system in India as well? What's your take on that?
The current education system in India is something pertaining to the problem that I faced back in May and April when I completed my 10th grade and I had to choose a stream for myself. And the problem in India is that there are very specific and limited streams that are available. So we've just got distinct streams in science, commerce, and humanities. Of course, IBDP is over there. IBDP, well, Saanika will be explaining what IBDP is. But then just to give you a brief overview, well, IBDP is where you just study the subjects of your own choice. It's like liberal arts, right? So what I wanted to say is that the need for education system change in India is there because Indian education system has metamorphosed over the years. Because let's consider the time when India was ruled by kings, kingdoms. Kingdoms were there, kingdoms existed. So over there, there was a system of Gurukul, okay, and the princesses were made to study really specific topics pertaining to maybe science, maybe specific to geography, maybe specific to their own history, their ancestral history, and of course, warfare was another thing. So what we are seeing over here is that they were made to study the topics, the subjects, which led to a wholesome development. It was not really specific, which was something that was taught to them. Especially what I feel is that when a student is being taught in his 11th and 12th grade, what he needs to be taught is subjects that lead to his wholesome development. It's not like he should specifically study only geography. If he's in commerce, then he's got business, economics, mathematics. That's it. That's the only thing that is limited to him. And then if he's in science, then he should only study physics, chemistry, biology. It's not like that, right? Or computer. mathematicals for that matter. So what I feel is that the future is about being multidimensional. So there should be a collaboration of subjects from every stream. A student should be allowed to take physics along with maybe economics and business, because maybe he wants to become a physicist. Maybe he wants to have some knowledge of physics, and maybe he wants to create a technology, and then maybe he wants to start a business of it. So it should not create a struggle in his future life. In the sense, he has just studied physics, chemistry, and biology, but he has never studied business. He has never studied economics. He doesn't know anything about entrepreneurship. Then what will he do? He'll depend on some other person. He'll collaborate with him. But what if that person wants to be independent? He does not have any means. He does not have any resources. Then of course he needs to be self-sufficient. And that's exactly why I feel that the Indian education system, which is good, I won't say that Indian education system has anything wrong with it, but there's a need for change. Changing times should have changing measures as well, right? So what I feel is that the Indian education system should change significantly. It should allow students to take the subjects that the students want and not what the education system wants them to study. That's one thing. Plus, I feel that in the Indian education system, people are made to rote learn. IBDP is another concept of that matter, where the students are tested conceptually instead of what they study in their textbooks, right? Saanika would be a better judge of that, of course. But anyways, I guess I'm right, okay? Even today, we see so many engineers around us. There are engineers who have graduated from IIT. They've gone on to pursue IIM, management and IIM. They've maybe gone abroad and they've studied. But what they're doing right now is that they are maybe working for sales and marketing of a company, which is nothing related to engineering. So that's the thing, that people find interests in the future. So that's why a student should be taught how to be multidimensional. He should be taught subjects that lead to a wholesome development of his personality. That's one thing. And obviously, there should be a better training of the educators. I'm not saying that the teachers are not well trained. Definitely, they are connoisseurs of their own subjects. But then the thing that I feel is that they should be better trained when it comes to technology. Well, when the pandemic struck and everything went online, the teachers were struggling. I mean, most of them at least were struggling how to handle with online lectures, how to go about that. So there should be a better training of teachers. And when there's a better training of teachers, they'll be able to adapt to technology. And when there is an adaptation with technology, then technology will come into the classrooms. And that's exactly what the future is about, right? Being technological. And obviously, when you are teaching a particular subject, then you cannot stick to the methods that you relied upon maybe 10 or 15 years ago. You're teaching biology to the students. You cannot simply teach it from diagrams. You need to use artificial intelligence. Maybe you use augmented reality, virtual reality, whatever the students prefer, because the Gen Z adapts to something else. It needs to be given its wants, and the needs of the Gen Z need to be catered to. That's what we feel. So that's what I feel, at least. So that's another thing.
I'm telling you, Harsh, he's a really good speaker.
No, he is actually. I could
Yeah.
hear from him for hours. In that sense, I took a few points from here. Like, first of all, how I see it is that you want to connect different subjects for a higher purpose, because at the end of the day, a person he needs to succeed not just in that one particular field, but as overall. And for that, he needs all the subjects. For to speak some parts of, say, he needs to be a good public speaker as well, a good scientist to start up a scientist, and there's a good engineer to start up a engineering startup. He needs to be more flexible. So you want to connect more and more subjects. And about the tutors part that you told, actually, I have a very harsh opinion on this, that I think the teachers, when they teach, they need to learn themselves regularly. And so, in universities, it happens that, or even in schools, that whenever a teacher comes, he practices what he has to teach before once, so that he gets the confidence and everything. So similarly, they need to adapt to the technology. One point that was yes. And another is the human nature as well. Like people, like you said, in Gurukul, they had these things, they wanted these things. These were the demands that they were fulfilled. Right now, the demands are changing from time to time, which is why the demands need to be fulfilled accordingly.
In fact,
What do
just
you
let's
think?
look at
Yeah.
look at it from a more historical perspective. If you look at it about two or three centuries ago, when scholars such as Newton came up, scholars such as Archimedes, and all these people who created these revolutions that we know as physics, or what we know as science today. When these people came up, they did not study science specifically, because there were certain scholars who studied economics as well. They studied physics. Basically, they studied liberal arts, and that's why they were able to give a multidimensional approach to this entire world. They were able to create revolutions. They were able to create changes in multiple fields together. It was not that if Newton was attached to maybe just physics, then he just created groundbreaking discoveries in just physics. He even contributed to economics as well, because it's just a thing that when you are looking at a change, an impending change that is required to be created in this world, then you need to have knowledge of various fields as well. And that's why I feel that a specific and a limited approach to studies cannot be justified for that matter.
Yeah, and specifically in higher education, because like in lower education, I would say that we are taught everything, kind of, not everything as specific, but in higher education it is more limited. Like a science student, he cannot go for history or political science, from officially at least, and same is the case for an art student or a commerce student. Like what's your stand on this, Saanika?
So I am actually a finance freak, and like I follow philanthropists like Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Jack Ma. And one of my favorite thing about Jack Ma is that he always said that your undergraduation or your like lower education is always supposed to be in a field which you are interested in, and it not necessarily has to do with things that you have to do in the future. I mean, Jack Ma did his undergraduation in English literature, and which is far from what he is doing now. So I think everyone should do what they like and they're interested in, which actually makes you fall in love with the process of studying. And coming to my personal journey, I think the shift from ICSE to IB, I love what ICSE did to me. The grilling and the high pressure the entire time to be on your toes. I think that's what prepared me to come to IB, which is nothing different. It is equally difficult, but it helped me to adapt to change more quickly. And I think, yeah, exactly why I chose IB, because I didn't want to narrow myself down to science, commerce, or humanities. I wanted to explore my options a little more. And I wanted to study business with politics, business with arts, business with design technology, and computers and other subjects like that, which wasn't an option for me in the Indian education system. So, not that it's not great. The Indian education system is great because how it grills the children, but obviously, as Aryan said, after a certain point of time, it requires change. And about the professors and the teachers that obviously he spoke about, I think the thing is that we all need to be open to learning. That's the first step towards evolution. We need to be open to learning and to acquire more knowledge, because it only makes us stronger. I think that's what I believe personally. And I think that's what I want to go ahead with. Something that I am interested in and something that I love doing.
Yeah, and besides adding on to what she said, there is also a requirement of personalized education. Now, I must say that this is a really sorry condition that exists in our country, that students in colleges are made to sit in batches of 50, 100, 200, especially in graduation colleges. There are 200 students sitting together. So there is nothing personalized about that education, because every student has a different sense of grasping the knowledge that is being given in the class. It's not necessary that what a teacher teaches is being acquired equally, is being distributed equitably by all among the students. So what I feel is that the batch sizes should be limited. Maybe more teachers should be trained. Maybe education should be made more efficient, so that the need for the student is catered. The need of the students is catered to, because as I said, that not all students have that equal grasping power. And also the students must be made to understand the purpose of education. education. The purpose of education is not just to be successful in life and to earn money. And besides, earning money does not define how successful you have been in your life, right? It's like money is not an end by itself. It's just a means to an end, right? So you try to look for the goals that you want to achieve. You just look at the goal, and you just have that Arjuna kind of eye, and you look at that goal, and money will come along with it. That's it.
A lot of criticism about the Indian education one day. Just
Yeah.
done a single day.
Yeah. No, I would take one thing that about what you said about drilling. Like, it's necessary at one stage. In the lower education, you're not necessarily interested in one subject, but you need to have the basic knowledge. So you need to be pushed on that side. But once you're interested, like in the higher education, we are interested in studying. So then that drilling needs to stop and personalization needs to start. That, like Aryan has just he said. And that's probably one of the reasons like online education is more favored these days. Like, they provide a one-on-one experience rather than a.
I think the best part about online education is that it has reached to so many parts of our country. Like even the children to whom education was not that easily accessible can access it today. I think that is the best part. And the second part is the flexibility that you can learn whenever, wherever you want to learn in the comfort of your home. And from professors like around the world, not just in India, you can learn from people who you didn't know, and you're not just restricted to your school or your classes or your tuitions. That's the best part.
Yeah.
Right, like even the rise of YouTube, and like you've got various lectures, and like you've got a variety of I can say topics right at your fingertips.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
You can study anything anywhere you want, as long as you want.
Right, Sanika, like I'm interested about IB. I have not been to IB school. I have a few friends, but I really don't know about IB, about the IB board. Like, what is it, if you can tell me?
So I can't speak for everyone, obviously, but from my perspective, I think I'm finding it amazing. I think it gives you an overall development. It did exactly what I thought it would do. It didn't narrow me down to one subject. I can do whatever I want whenever I want. I can go into, and plus the most important component of IB is CAS, that's creativity, activity, and service. We were never taught to do, what do you say, community service and ICSE school or in the Indian education system. It was not compulsory. Here they have made it compulsory, which actually, and reflection over here is very important. Every week or regularly, we need to reflect on ourselves and what we learn. And obviously, theory of knowledge is another subject. Why we learn what we learn, it is necessary to know that. And yeah, that was it.
What are the major differences? Like, one difference, as I can see right now, is the flexibility with the, like, while choosing the subjects. You can have a different stream of subjects read together that connects things. But what is it like? What's different? Another thing is that you have to be more practical. Your approach needs to be more practical, like communicative with people, grouping together into communities. But what, like, is there a change in the syllabus, or like what are the major changes except for these two?
Um, I think there are not a lot of changes in the syllabus. I mean, there are changes, but one obvious change that I would say is that we don't have to rote learn. So, and rote learning would not help us in our examinations because it is very practical and conceptual. If I didn't understand a particular concept, I cannot solve a particular problem. And I think solving problems, again, we are constantly thrown problems our way, and we need to look for solutions. Like, I have taken a subject called global politics, and it is basically a discussion class. We need to discuss the current affairs, come up with solutions for a peaceful world. And one most important thing that I like about here is that, like, when you see an ICSE history textbook, it is entirely about Indian history, Ashoka dynasty, all the Mughal empires and everything. I mean, that it is important to learn, but how is it going to help me ahead? The thing over here is that we don't look at what was there in the past. We look at what can come in the future and what theories we can use to avoid the mistakes that were done in the past and what can be a better solution. And one thing that we learn is that war is never an option. That's a global politics quote. So that is a good thing about IB. And also, it helped me personally explore the options that I had never explored. So I was never personally a sports student. I did not take much interest in playing sports, but here we are forced to do everything. I mean, not forced, but we are encouraged to do everything. And that is what I like the most. I always like things that push me out of my comfort zone. So yeah, that is good.
Like they have a more sort of a more balanced system than just ICSE systems.
Yes, there's a balance in everything. And also, when I talk about communication, we are constantly and regularly grouped into a group of students and like to do a task. And we need to communicate and we need to learn the group skills that everybody has to be given an opportunity, everybody has to be given credit, and everybody has to work on one thing together. And that is the way of moving forward, I think.
Yeah, like I can learn, like I can see one thing, that they are giving individual purposes to every individual. Like every individual has got its own
Yeah.
purpose, which is contributing to a purpose even higher than themselves.
Yes, that is really
Like they're a part
important.
of a bigger purpose. That's actually a good thing, and that needs globalization. I was actually listening to Mark Zuckerberg one day at his Howard address. Probably he was talking about this purpose thing, and I was taken back. Like, I was okay, yeah, it's necessary, right? And
And at
like,
the
yeah,
sorry,
go on.
at the end of the day, I think it is very important to come back to yourself and reflect on what you have done and how can you give back to the community, or how can you work towards a greater good, like which is greater than yourself, not just for yourself. Obviously, it involves yourself. Everybody wants to get better at what they do, but yeah, looking at the broader perspective and becoming global citizens, I think we are, at my school at least, we are taught by professors from all over the world. Like the French teacher is actually from France, the Spanish teacher is actually from Spain, the global politics teacher is actually graduate from Stanford University. So yes, that is one good thing. And the teachers also, they attend learning programs and rehabilitation programs like all the time, and connect with the teachers across the world to provide a better way to educate the children.
Like it's like just like Aryan said, that the teachers need to be educated, and IB is following that as
Yes,
well.
I think
But
that
like
is
Yeah,
something
obviously.
that,
In the sense,
yeah,
yeah,
you can
that
only
is
Hindi
something
speaking
that,
teachers being taught some basics of French, and then that French is taught to the students. And as you had said, that teachers often revise before their lecture and then they deliver their lecture. So they don't really have that knowledge. They have just that temporary knowledge which has been instilled in their mind just before the lecture, and that's what they're delivering to the students. But what actual education is much beyond just your textbooks. What teachers learn in the textbooks and are giving to the students, delivering to the students. As I had said, it should be multidimensional in nature as well. So
but on a positive note, I think the Indian education system is also changing. They're studying the
it is. Yeah.
patterns
Mhm.
of
yeah,
how,
new education policy definitely I should
Exactly.
appreciate it, but then
Exactly. Yeah.
it should be implemented as soon as possible as well.
And in the truest form as well. Like most policies, whenever the government brings, any government in the world, they, like in the written form, in theory it's great, but in practical they make blunders at times.
Yeah, in fact, let me give you an example. I had a friend. Now that was not my friend actually. That was my brother's friend. And now that guy was a true computer genius. He was a true computer genius in the sense he was not that great at physics or chemistry, but he was really good at programming. Okay, and as you know, that programming is nothing to do with physics or chemistry. It is just programming and mathematics together combined, which is known as computer science. So obviously, you need some knowledge of physics when you're understanding the entire mechanism of a computer, or you maybe if you're creating chips, then maybe you need chemistry as well. But then, while you're dealing with programming, while you're dealing with computers on a very superficial basis, then that computer genius he got traded just because he did not have that acumen for physics and chemistry as the system demands us to have. the system demands us to appear for an examination, an entrance examination, which has got numericals, which are based on physics, chemistry, mathematics, nothing related to computers. And you give that examination, you enter into an engineering college, but you don't get into a good engineering college because futures are defined. Obviously, you have your own self. You can metamorphose into a better person any day you want, but the system has limited us to just these entrance examinations, and people believe that if you get into IITs, then only your future is secure. Maybe if you're pursuing engineering, then IIT is the best option. Maybe NIT after that, maybe triple IT. Obviously, these are good colleges, but then even if you go to a very basic engineering college, it's not necessary that you won't be successful. But then the thing that I wanted to point out over here, the pith of the matter is that you cannot trade a true computer genius just because he was not able to solve some physics and chemistry numericals. That's what I wanted to point out over here.
Right. By the way, for the last couple of years, how has been the pandemic for both of you guys? Like, you tried any new things at home? Like, how was it? Like before the schools opened?
School hasn't opened for me. Okay, Saanika was saying something. You want to go ahead?
Yeah, so I think the pandemic has been very productive for me in the sense that I got to work on a lot of personal skills because I'll tell you, I was a very shy person at the not the beginning of the pandemic, but like in my recent years, like fifth, sixth grade. And I have like evolved a lot speaking in the sense of like communication, and that is like one more thing. I sorry for coming back to IB, but that is another thing that IB gets you. Peer analysis is one method that I use. Nobody can judge you better than your peer, and nobody can help you better than your a person of the same age and studying the
Yeah.
same thing. That is a good thing. And coming back to the pandemic, I think I did a lot of things that I never thought I would do. Cooking, then business and entrepreneurship, art, all these things, and explored a lot of courses, I think, from universities outside India and in India. Like recently I had done a young scholars program from Ashoka University. And I think India is also adopting really well to the online system, as I actually and really got to interact with people from the university, and how is it, how the university is, the campus, the people, the education over there. So yeah, that is one good thing.
What started your interest in business and economics? Like, what was that starting point?
I come from a family of first generation entrepreneurs. So I have naturally always been fascinated with business and economics, and all the dinner table talks, all the, all the gyan, if I would say, from my grandfather and my father and my mom. In fact, everybody in my family is entrepreneurs and everybody is doing their own thing. So that naturally inclined me towards business and economics and entrepreneurship.
Yeah, like even in that sense, I come from a Marwadi family, so yeah, I can relate to that as well. Like, and Aryan, how was your pandemic life?
Speaking about my pandemic life, well, there was nothing great about it, but it was excellent to be honest. Because during this pandemic, I discovered the true self. What should I say rather? Okay, wait. Let me just collect my thoughts. Okay, fine.
Discovered
Yeah,
that
yeah,
there's
Saanika.
like a need to do workout.
Yeah. That's one thing.
Of
Okay,
course.
that's one thing. Thank you so much for helping me with that. Now I can elaborate more on that point. Okay, fine. So before the pandemic struck, I was about 86 kilos, and I did not feel quite comfortable in my body. So it was like lack of body positivity, right? So that's one social thing that you want some change, and that's why I started working out. And obviously, there were some days when I felt like I don't want to do anything, and those were the days when I spent lying about on the bed watching YouTube. That's it. And these were the days which actually helped me recover from my mood swings, maybe. So this workout journey, it started back in August 2020. Actually, in August 2020, because I've been working out since the summer of 2020, but then that wasn't as regular as I would say. But then it actually started in September 2020. And since then, it has been going on till now. And I've lost 16 kilos. And in fact, I feel quite comfortable in my body now, and I'm quite socially positive as well. And before this pandemic struck, I had this social stigma. I was not able to speak that confidently with people. I was not able to interact well with them. Definitely, I was never an introvert, but then I was an ambivert of sorts. I interacted with people, but I was never confident in my language. I was never confident while speak in public. I was the vice captain of my school in the back in my ninth grade, and I got this opportunity where I spoke on the sports day during the prize distribution ceremony, and that was the day which was the changing point of my life. And then the pandemic struck. We were all locked up within the confines of our home. And last year, I was elected as the captain of my school. So what gave me way over here is that I got several opportunities to speak on several occasions in front of several people, on several different events, several different festivals. There were so many events that were organized throughout the year. In fact, I was even responsible for organizing various fests and various science events in my school. So these are the things that gave me this opportunity to speak with people, to interact with them, to develop my communication skills. And I haven't felt more confident since last year.
I think that is like one problem the both of us had, speaking and communication and interaction with people. But I think it like the pandemic really gave us an opportunity to get better at that, and especially realize for ourselves that we're not good at that and we need to get better at that. And also, I think we both share really common qualities. So I think that is why Hoppin works for us, because we can always communicate and share with each other. Like some days one person is not free, the other person can take over and keep the community running and keep the page running. So I think that is a really good part about Hoppin, and that is why I feel like it's going to go on for a long time, because there is a good foundation to it.
Yeah.
And plus, I feel that in this process of social discovery, self-discovery rather, I would want to add a personal experience that I had back in my eighth grade. When I was this ambivert sort of person. So one day, our English teacher, she had just called some students who were willing to participate in the debate competition. Not in a debate competition, rather there was a debate competition that was being held in our school. So she just called out to the students who wanted to be a part of that event as an audience, because there was definitely a limited capacity of seats, and most of them were occupied by parents and other teachers. So there were a limited number of seats that were available in the school. So she just called out to the students and said that whoever wants to be a part of the audience can come forward, and just I'll give you a topic and you need to speak for either for or against it, not a neutral perspective. And I still remember that the topic that she had given was is wealth important for happiness? And that was a topic that often conflicts my concerns, because the thing about this topic is that either you have wealth or you have happiness. You cannot just relate both of them. They are two separate things, right? When you have got wealth, that does not mean that you are happy, But when you are happy, that does not mean that you aren't looking for wealth, right? So that was the point when I felt quite confused. And it was not just a confusion, but I was never confident speaking in front of people. I just learned my speech, and I spoke it in front of people. That was fine. But then speaking impromptu, that was never really my thing. And that's the time when I messed up actually in front of my class. And we were given this topic, and I was made to speak against it. So I just spoke a few lines, and then I announced in front of the class, I cannot do this anymore. That's it. That's the thing. But that's the point when I felt that why am I not able to do this? If during the English orals, when I was able to read the speech and I was able to speak it so well, then why can't I speak it impromptu? What's the matter with me? Then over the period of time, I understood that I had got a particular consciousness within me that I'm not making a good use of English, or maybe I'm not making a good use of language. But then the thing about communication is that while you're communicating, you need to make sure that you never become conscious of the thing that you're speaking. And when you're not conscious, it's quite possible that you won't fumble while speaking. So the thing is that I've improvised my speech, my ability to speak quite well over the years, and it's still a long journey. and I guess it's going to be a great one.
I think we both have like done
Both
a
are.
lot of funny things.
Yeah.
Like that has led us to like we've had a lot of funny incidents with our communication and our
Uh-huh.
speeches and all of this. But I think that has helped us to learn and like go ahead. Like if even like I would like to say that. So there was this in Singhania only, Aryan. There was this like watchman who was like the gatekeeper, and I had this chemistry exam the day. I was like just a little bit late, so like there was a clearing, there was nobody else, and I was like entering the gate, and the guy is asking me that, did you study well? I'm like, no, I'm really nervous. And then the guy starts asking, like the watchman starts asking me all the topics, like, did you study this? Did you study that? I'm like, how do you know it? And he's like, I have been watching
I know that guy.
students. Yes, I have been watching
I know
students
that guy.
like do
He's
this
really
for
observant.
years.
He's really observant, and trust me, he speaks really good English, right?
Yes.
Okay, he's really fluent with that language. And he's been maybe observing the students since how many years? Maybe he was in the school for about 20, 25 years because he was really an old guy.
I'm standing there, I
So,
was like looking, am I really having this conversation?
but the thing is that while you're observing things, you might learn in a better manner than you just reading it through and watching videos. It's going to help you in some manner, but then while observing things and while making your own conclusions, you learn better. You learn in a better way. You remove the things that might frame your mind, that you might have framed in your mind initially, and then you see something new, and then that frame gets replaced, and then you over a period of time it gets efficient as it can be. So.
Harsh was asking something about movies. We just
Yeah. Go ahead, Harsh.
let
We
him
have
on.
deviated in the topic quite a bit. Okay, fine.
No,
Go
it's
ahead, Harsh.
fine. No, I mean, first of all, the gatekeeper incident, like I would have freaked out in that place.
I
Like,
know,
why were you
right?
asking me? Like, first of all, I've not read, and secondly, you're asking me why. But
Yeah.
anyways, like, you guys watch movies and stuff during the pandemic or anything?
Oh, well, I watched several movies. In fact, back in my ninth grade, I did not watch anything apart from Tarak Mehta Ka Ulta Chashma.
Once more! Once more! Once more!
And that's
Oh my
obviously-
God.
I don't watch
Why would
anything
you-
apart from that.
Why would you mention that?
Okay, fine. I mean, I
Let's
watched.
cut. Can we cut this out?
Okay, fine. I just watched two things. I'll admit it. I just watched two things. Okay, I watched Tarak Mehta Ka Ulta Chashma, and for a change, I also watched Tenali Rama. Both of them were being showcased on sub television. So those are the only series that I used to watch.
That
And
is
then-
my co-founder, everybody.
Okay, fine. So Saanika has been watching several series. So I guess Saanika, go ahead.
Yeah.
I think almost all like the pandemic or almost all everything on Netflix is like completed for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge Suits fan, like the show
Okay.
Suits,
Mm-hmm.
and I really like this character Harvey Specter.
Yeah.
And also I read the entire Hunger Games trilogy and a lot of books. I think I read The Secret, The Da Vinci Code, The Psychology of Money, and like I'm really, when it comes to reading, I go crazy. And if you like if you come to my home and you see there like huge piles of books, just huge stacks
Yeah.
of book
Mm-hmm.
kept, and yeah.
Like, I'm a reader myself. I love British writers initially, and I like recently I'm in nonfiction as well. Like, you guys, Taman has asked me a question: Marvel or DC? You guys watch Marvel movies or DC? Like,
Marvel, definitely Marvel. If you want to debate about Marvel, then I'm the best person to come to.
Tell me. Do you bleed?
Saanika?
I am
Yours?
not the best person to come to. I haven't watched a lot of them, so yeah.
Right.
And
DC, no,
anything-
definitely not DC. DC is something which conflicts with Marvel, and Marvel is the
And
best.
yeah. And any statement I make, they're like Marvel fans and DC fans are going to come and hit me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in
So,
fact,
like,
speaking about Marvel,
yeah.
I got this obsession with Harry Potter as well. So I was not much of a reader myself before the lockdown, before the pandemic actually. So I had been reading rather Harry Potter consecutively 3 times since over 3 years. So Harry Potter is the only thing that I read, and that's the only thing that I spoke about when I gave, when it came to people, and I interacted only about 2 things. So it was Tarak Mehta, and the other thing was Harry Potter. Okay,
Aryan, just stop
fine.
stop mentioning that show.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Okay, let me just change the topic.
Ah.
So when the pandemic struck, I thought that why not just try some other book for a change. In fact, I had this a bit of an argument with my cousin. I told him that I was a reader, I was an avid reader, but he was like, "You've only read 7 books in your whole lifetime. What do you say? Are you? Can you even call yourself a reader? Because even before that, I used to read only 2 things. Okay, Tinkle and Geronimo Stilton.
I
Okay,
think you can't
Those
call
are-
yourself a reader.
Okay, and then I proceeded over to Harry Potter. In fact, there was a point when my mother used to run behind me with that Harry Potter cassette, and she was like, "Read it," and then a point came when she ran after me to take away that set from me. Stop reading it. Take some other book and start reading it. And then, so pandemic has been productive for me in that way as well. That I started reading some other books, and when it comes to other books, I started reading Percy Jackson first of all. Okay, so I finished the Percy Jackson series, and then I proceeded over to the Heroes of Olympus, and that's where I, developed that habit of reading books, reading fiction especially. I wasn't much into reading business economics and stuff. Obviously, news articles are another thing, but reading whole books on them wasn't really my thing, because when you are not that much interested in reading, and a person comes and gives you a book, and it's about business, it's about economics, it's about science, then obviously you're going to lose your interest in reading. So I thought that why not just continue with fiction itself. And Percy Jackson was, a gentle way out for me from Harry Potter.
I think we really chose the wrong topic, because both of us can go on just forever. The podcast would never end.
Yeah. Actually, okay. So fine. Let's speak about movies. Yes, Harsh. Go ahead. Ask us questions on movies.
Which genre, first of all?
Any
Horror.
genre. Yeah.
Horror.
Or,
And
I
any
don't
genre.
watch horror, so again, Aryan would speak.
Okay,
So
so
which genres
if
do you
you are
watch, like
speaking
Saanika?
about iconic Indian films, then maybe you should talk about Fir Hera Feri by Paresh Rawal, Akshay Kumar. It was a really good movie, and Saanika would agree with me.
मस्त जोक मारा रे ये हंस रे हलकट हंस
And that I'm pretty sure, because I suggested that movie to her and she even watched it, and I'm pretty sure she liked it. Did you?
But I won't admit it. Okay, yeah, I liked it.
Okay, fine. So Fir Hera Feri was just okay. It was a random movie that I suggested, anyways. So let's speak about the Indian cinema in a more serious tone, in a more serious manner. So why is there a need for change in the Indian cinema? Well, there isn't specifically a need for change in the Indian cinema itself, but I should say that we should start from the grassroots level, and we should focus on the type of serials that are being developed in India. Now, the most of the serials that are being showcased on our televisions today, they have a very stereotypical opinion of the Indian society. Now, that's another thing that people in India like watching those things. Let me just use the colloquial language and say Saas Bahu drama. That's the thing that people like to watch in India. But then the thing is that that these things are quite stereotypical, right? They can affect the mindset of the people. They can affect the way people think. It is like we need to progress as a society. And these things are definitely not helping us progress. Speaking of movies, it's fine to have some recreational and fun movies. Serious movies are definitely there. Maybe let's just take an example. Maybe we had Uri. Uri was a great film. We've got Tanaji. Tanaji again was a great film. But then the need for improvement comes from the fact that there should be less of nepotism and more of identification of skills from people, of people, because there are people with good acumen for graphic designing. There are people who are good at VFX, but then they aren't being identified. They aren't being picked up. Only a person who was into this VFX business, he has a son or maybe his daughter coming in and replacing himself. So these are the things that matter a lot, because if we want to improvise upon our films, the quality of our films, the graphics of our films, the stories of our films, then we need to focus more on talent. So in Indian cinema should identify talent. Of course, there are few people who have made it big who are talented, of course, but then in the 21st century, there's this trend that only nepotists are going to make it big in the society. So that's a problem. It was not related to other fields, of course. Other fields might have multi-dimensional, not multi-dimensional actually. They pick up people. They pick up people who are talented. But then this is something which is specifically pertaining to the Indian cinema that I felt, and obviously it's all over the news as well.
Yeah.
So
Like talking about Indian cinema and Indian series, like for the past couple of years, I've watched a lot of especially British TV series, American TV series. I can tell you one thing: whenever I don't like switching on the TV at times, especially for the what we call the Indian serials, because they don't have a story.
you don't have a story. Exactly.
Yeah,
I think when it comes to switching on the TV, I don't think anybody switches on the TV these days, because news, movies, everything is on the phone. Like
yeah.
literally
yeah.
everything.
There has been a paradigm shift in just 1 year to OTT platforms, and OTT platforms, the stocks have never been higher. So
Yeah. Because I think OTT platforms has got this one independentness, like like there's a lot of censorship on TV, but on OTT platforms you can explore more ideas. And another thing that I don't like about Indian series is like we've got talented writers. If not in today, I don't know about today, but we had talented writers. They wrote various books, like
Satyajit Ray.
yeah, Satyajit Ray was there, like Feluda, all right, and there was lot of them. And forget about those. We had so many good authors. All right, we read so many books today. Like what the Hollywood does is they make movies based on authors, on the books of those authors, because people relate to them. Like I'm a huge Agatha Christie fan. All right, now I've seen the Hercule Poirot series, the Sherlock Holmes series. Sherlock is one of the best shows I've seen.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
we don't have anything like that in India. I mean, it's not something you can't show on Indian TV. There are talented people, but you just don't show it. I don't know why at times. And about the SARS.
Plus, it's not just about the approach that these Indian serials have. In fact, literally every storyline is just the same. They just show two people who are madly in love with each other, and then there is a family that comes in between. Finished. That's the story that they have. In fact, I wouldn't say that Hollywood has progressed. It has progressed definitely much. I wouldn't say that Hollywood does not have these series. But then the thing about Hollywood is that it works well on its films. It intricately carves the entire story out and presents it in a good manner, which people will definitely like. But the thing about Indian cinema is that if they're just going to focus on family drama, rather family melodrama, then it's never going anywhere, right? So what I feel is that
one thing that you can get out of this is Aryan watches a lot of SARS Bro.
Yeah, I can say that. He has the most experience in that.
I don't, but actually, this is the thing that I've observed literally in every household. So that's what I felt, that these serials, they don't make much out of people.
Actually, you've watched all of them.
No, I haven't, but I've seen people watch them, and I think that it's nothing. It's going to help them in no manner, in fact. And plus, okay, even if you watch some fiction, maybe related to spy and stuff, then you're going to learn some jargon. You're going to learn how operations are are carried out. So that's another thing. So it's like fun, but then you are learning something along with that. But these things are they're just going to put in some random cheesy music, and then they're going to show a love story. Finished.
I think they don't explore into characters. Like most of our Indian shows, they have got two characters, as you said, and they don't explore the other characters. Other characters are like, maybe you can kill off someone. All right, you can just do anything to anyone else.
The character development is essential when it comes to the plot.
There is none in Indian cinema. By the way, Aryan, you're I like the wallpaper on your back, like the screen.
Thanks.
Like what is
Okay,
it?
so you want to discuss this thing? Okay, so many people have observed this because I have been saying. Okay, fine. So many people have spoken about this thing behind me because I have literally seated myself on this very seat over here since the last. For the last 2 years. Okay. So I've been on video calls, and this has been my background literally every time. So many people have observed this, and many people have liked it, especially my teachers. So that thing, and my friends were like, Why? And there's one simple explanation for that. I did not really like mathematics when I was in my 6th or 7th grade, and there are some reasons for that, specifically not mentioning them right now. But then I did not like mathematics very much, and then we bought this home, a new home, and so my parents wanted to design my room in such a manner that I would fall in love with mathematics, and my mom thought that this would be a really great idea, putting mathematics over here, because back then I just really liked science, and then the problem was that the science wallpaper, it was a bit dark, and my dad felt that a dark wallpaper wouldn't look good on my home, in my room, inside my room. So my mom thought that I want him to develop some acumen for mathematics, and thus this wallpaper.
I think even I didn't like mathematics a lot at the start, but I think both of us had a really good professor that we came across, and actually he made us fall in love with maths by like just the way he explains it and the way he makes it fascinating. I think that was really
Like even I have had one physics teacher of that sort.
So a good professor always makes a lot of difference.
Definitely.
To this
Exactly.
Of a subject.
Of course. That's like we can come back to that point when you say that we need good teachers. Teachers that actually inspires us. Teachers that
inspire more than they just teach.
Yeah,
that's important.
But again, we can't always blame it on the teachers. Some students also.
Yeah.
So
let's assume that we are good students over here and we hate a subject, then that can be blamed on the teacher then. So it's like that.
In a narrow sense, yes. But
in a narrow sense, yes.
Yeah. So, but Saanika, you were saying something as well.
I wasn't.
Yes, you were saying the same thing, I guess.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. Like, I would say like in the education system, we need let's leave the education system. We had more for one podcast. Yeah, seriously.
It's too much criticism to the education system and the teachers.
Okay, then let's just maybe come back to Hollywood and speak about horror movies. I just wanted to speak about horror movies because Hollywood really works well on its horror movies, although they don't get as much ratings.
I'll start with horror movies. It's just a torture. I don't know why would people
horror movies are fun actually.
I don't know why would people like to torture themselves by watching those movies.
I don't know, maybe I had this phobia of dark when I was I've been referring much to my 6th, 7th, 8th grade. Right? So I'll just say that I got this phobia of darkness, and I watched some horror movies during the lockdown, and my phobia of darkness just vanished. It just vanished. It went away. So that's why I feel that horror movies are really great. I mean,
I'll tell you
obviously there are some disturbing.
I'll tell you a curious thing. Every time I watch those movies, I have bad dreams at night, and it's really.
I wouldn't disagree because when I first saw it, all that I saw around myself was that orange-haired clown running around my house. That was the condition that happened. But then
my life, what happened?
Yeah, and then I watched The Nun, and the nun appeared everywhere. And the thing about Conjuring, literally. Yeah, in fact, you just the thing about Conjuring movies, the thing I hate the most about Conjuring movies now is that they are based on true stories. That's the thing I hate the most about Conjuring stories. I mean,
it might happen.
I was like, fine, yeah, these stories are fine and they're just fiction. Okay, and then I go to the internet and I search the story, and then it comes up that Ed and Lorraine Warren were two actual paranormal investigators, and these are their real life experiences. And I was like, shit, what happened? No, I mean, and this nun who appears in these Conjuring movies is a demon whose name is Valak. Valak, Valak, and I'm not going in much of the intricacies of the matter, but yes, these are based on very much true stories, and they've got evidences to prove that as well. Obviously, scientists are going to contradict that because they don't like anything that hurts their ego. But if you believe in light, then there is obviously going to be an opposite darkness. If you believe in God, then obviously you have to believe in the devil as well.
God, Harsh must be thinking these people rant so much about everything. But all of us are like just like those ICC students who get along the entire time. You just strike a conversation with like a person and it just keeps going on.
Exactly.
Definitely.
I can take one thing that Aryan is waiting for that new ghost to come into his house from Conjuring. He's waiting for someone.
Yeah, ghost encounters, like they have really fascinated me. And in fact, there is one museum as well in Monroe of Ed and Lorraine Warren. And there's this Annabelle doll. It's obviously not that creepy as they show it in the movies. It's quite that soft toy, a normal soft toy. And they've kept it in a box. And the box reads that label. It has that label on it. And the label says that positively do not open. And in fact, I came across an article in which they had written that a museum employee who was cleaning the boxes, he ignored the sign and he opened the box. And after that, he was kicked out for doing that by Ed Warren, the owner, obviously, of the
Yeah,
museum.
yeah.
And then that night he suffered a fatal accident. So, and there are evidences to prove that as well, because there's time, there is obviously
Okay.
it might have been a coincidence, not saying that it is totally unscientific, but then as I said, that if there is a darkness, there's a light, then there's a darkness as well. There's darkness as well.
Right. Like that's a deep thought. Like we can't talk about like about the darkness and thing. That's a deep thought. Yeah. But like if you're talking my experience, like okay, my first horror movie of my life. I know it might sound creepy and strange. It was Chris 3. I was a child back then.
How is that a horror?
Chris 3?
I'm telling you, see. I'm telling you, see. What happened? I was a child back then. It was late night, and everything in the movie was black. Like there was the hero is in black, the villain is in black. They've got creepy animals going around and all that sort of thing. I was a child back then. I was, I think, 9, 10, whatever I was. And that night, literally in my dream, I was like, okay, I woke up 3 times, and again I'm having those creepy dreams and sort of, which is why I just stopped watching horror movies. Okay, not my type.
You know, I mean, people might hit me for saying this, but just like if it tortures you, don't watch it.
Don't watch it. Yeah, exactly.
And in fact, people are saying that Chris should be rated with Marvel, but I would say please don't do that.
That's going
Why?
to be a disaster. I'm
It's
telling
going to be a
you.
disaster.
Why?
It seems so odd. I mean, we can do something like an Indian superhero coming into Marvel because we've already got a Chinese superhero, Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi,
And
yeah.
it's perhaps he's going to be integrated with the Avengers as well. But why not an Indian hero as well then? But definitely not Chris. Definitely not Chris.
No, I mean, okay, Chris is like fine. That's Indian, whatever it was. Whatever. So, like about books, about movies as well. I can tell you one thing that I learned a lot of things from movies. All right, I don't know if it is like you guys would agree or not. I had a list of how many movies I'm watching for the last 1 year. That was around 1,343 total.
Oh my god.
Movies, yeah, which is why I said no, I watched more than I can imagine. And like I have learned a lot. Like I've watched so many things, and I people talk about character development. All right, I'm saying okay, I have the experience, I've seen so many, I know how characters developed and sort of thing. Actually another thing was about murder mystery movies. Any guys like you guys interested in murder mysteries?
Yes.
Definitely a lot. A lot.
Like I
Like,
can tell
My
you.
genres are specifically horror, thriller, and crime. These are the 3 genres which I like.
A classic example of I think
Mystery
the
as well,
murder
actually.
mystery. Murder mystery is the murder on the Orient Express.
Orient
On the
Express,
Orient
yeah.
Express. So it's
The
brilliant. It's brilliant.
the entire movie was so serious and so like just like it's serious, and once you like sit down, you can't even pause. Like you don't feel like pausing the movie, and it just keeps your attention.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
you're talking about murder mysteries. I told about Agatha Christie. Like I've read, I think 23 or 24 of her books. And before watching the Murder on the Orient Express, I had not read the book. All right, I watched the movie and then I read the book. Okay, and like while watching the movie, I had this suspicion that maybe, like spoilers ahead, maybe all of them are killers. Maybe I had this thing, but then I was like, okay, I didn't see this coming. I just had
I
this
didn't
weird.
see that coming. I really
Yeah.
didn't see that coming. Yeah.
I mean, you're chasing an entire person. Maybe you're just looking at one person as the criminal in the entire story,
Yeah.
and then that focus is shifting to another character, and then to another character.
yeah.
But at the end, you were realizing that it was the entire thing, that entire team that was
exactly.
doing it.
We're giving
And all the
spoilers.
people on board. So,
We're giving spoilers. We say
oh
that
yeah,
before.
oh shoot!
Like now we need to write in the description before watching this.
Positively, do not watch.
Yeah. Go and
But I
watch
think
Murder on the Orient Express.
most
Yeah.
of the people have watched the movie.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is quite a famous one. Yeah.
Quite
Like, have you
famous.
read about this book? And then there were none.
Yeah. It's about maybe 10 people going on an island, and one of them was the criminal, I guess, or none of them survived. It was like that. I'm not sure.
Okay, like I won't give spoilers. I read the book. It was, I think, 3 at the night. All right, my parents were sleeping, and I just woke up at 1. I was like, I need to complete this book. That is probably the book I would suggest everyone to read. I won't give any spoilers for that. There are 10 people. Everyone is going to die. You need to find a murderer. That's it.
I
Find the
think
murder.
when you talk about mystery, the recent like
Mhm.
obsession of people, Squid Game.
Yeah,
Like
I
this,
haven't seen. I will see it. Yeah,
yes.
Even I haven't seen it.
yeah.
People
Because
are
I'm just into this transition from from Tarak Mehta to web series, so I've yet
Aryan,
to
that
watch
is the
that.
4th time you have said it.
He's the biggest Tarak Mehta fan. I can tell you right now.
Yeah, in fact, about Tarak Mehta, speaking about Tarak Mehta, the episodes right now are not that great as they used to
But
be, in
Mhm.
fact.
no offense to people who see it, but it is really please really crap.
Cringe.
I mean, you learn
Yeah,
nothing from it. You just yeah.
it's just like a guilty pleasure, I would say, for people at times.
I
Yeah, you can say
know.
that.
I have never watched it,
I have
but
not
I'm
as
just
well.
telling you that yeah.
The guilty
I
pleasure,
don't.
speaking about guilty pleasure, I even used to like watching Shinchan and Doraemon a lot.
Oh my God, Aryan, cut it, please. Can we cut
Everyone
this
used to
out?
watch. Yeah, sure. No, I won't cut. Don't worry. And another thing about murder mysteries, I would say, is like, while reading Agatha Christie, I've understood one thing. That is, like, people are the most unpredictable of things. Like, in the murder mystery, anyone can be a murderer, and they have got a good
Hmm.
story. Like I've learned, like I would say that much of my learning is from 2 things: movies and books, because I've lost
Yes.
watched
Yeah,
so many.
even I would
Like,
say that.
I would say more books because
yeah,
reading a book is always better than watching a
hmm,
movie.
of course. Hmm.
And as you had very well noticed that my Zoom DP is of Agents of Shield.
Hmm.
So obviously I watched that series and then I watched Agent Carter. So after watching these two series, I realized that how actual operations are carried out and how you need
Kind
to
of, yeah.
take good decisions even while in the heat of battle. So these are the
Hmm.
two things that I learned
Hmm.
specifically
Hmm.
while watching spy movies and
Yeah, I
series, of
mean,
course.
like about family thing, I was not the best member in the family, but after watching Downton Abbey, I would say, like, it's a British aristocrat TV series sort of thing. But after watching Downton Abbey, it's like the family is going through a lot, and the way they are coping it up and all of that. Like, there's two things happening and all of that. By the way, Taman's question is there one. You guys watch sitcoms?
Yeah,
Sitcoms, I haven't watched any. I actually started a sitcom recently, Wizards of the Waverly Place.
I
Ah,
watched Friends and like those type of uh,
honestly, tell me
sitcoms.
how was it? Honestly.
What Friends?
Mm-hmm.
Friends is awesome. You haven't watched it.
No.
You haven't watched it.
I'm fine. Totally fine. I don't know why it's coming out all loud and squeaky, because really, I'm fine.
Buddy, you should be having major FOMO. It's like amazing.
I haven't, like, I've watched so many, like, this is Grace for Friends, Office, and all. I haven't watched any sitcom at all.
So Friends is like you, even if you
Mm-hmm.
watched it a lot of times, but if an episode is like playing, you can sit and watch it and you won't get bored. I
Okay.
think it's like that.
Uh-huh.
It's a comfort show. Yeah,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I would put it that way.
Hmm. Right. Like Taman, like I've got a few friends. Taman right now, like, he's a huge sort of a sitcom fan. I don't know why. I haven't watched it. I will one day, not now. Anyways, so yeah, should we wrap it up for here? Like, enough for today, or like we want to talk more on something?
Wait, Taman is a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is a guy.
Sorry, Taman. I'm so sorry. Hi.
He won't say. I'll send you his picture, or like we might talk after this. Don't worry.
No, yeah.
Or you can find him on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's quite active on LinkedIn. I'm not. Anyways, like, yeah. Anything else we should start with, or like some other day?
I think
Some
we
other
can
day,
wrap it up.
maybe. And I mean, we enjoyed having this discussion today, and it was
Me too.
fun. An evening well
Yeah,
spent, actually, I would say.
yeah. I mean, I also wanted to keep it not very formal, just sort of
A casual
casual.
discussion, yeah.
Yeah,
That's actually the beauty of a podcast, that you
exactly.
just enter into a conversation. You don't dwell much
Exactly.
into formal things.
Like, ending up right now, like I would say, there's this difference between a right talk and a real talk. Like right talk is everything you're talking in a very certain manner. You need to be like correct in everything. But real talk is like, okay, I'm imperfect. That's fine. That's just the way I am.
We're just three people who we are talking to each other, having
exactly.
a regular conversation.
Like I have my flaws. If you guys have yours, I have my benefits. You have yours.
Oh, we have a lot.
Everyone has. Even I.
So I would just like to say that, ending on a positive note, I think this conversation was really productive, because we spoke about obviously recent topics and like the ones that are going on in everybody's life, changing, like shift from ICC to IB, not for everyone, but the education.
Fair amount
And
of people,
then we spoke about the pandemic, movies, and I think whoever is listening to this, I don't know what you guys got from us, or what I mean, but I just hope that you guys had fun listening to us. And please do check out Hoppin Media. It's something we will be doing for a very long time, and we hope to give out a positive message and just everybody stay safe.
So guys, Hoppin Media is a youth-centric platform, and here we are creating content specifically for the Gen Z, and then we are reducing it in a very succinct manner, presenting in a very succinct manner and an understandable manner, and we are providing resources for individuals to metamorphose into like-minded people. So these are two things that we are doing over here at Hoppin Media. So do check us out on Instagram, and we're also we're on LinkedIn, and we're also planning to maybe diversify our social presence. So we'll be seeing you around on various social platforms as well. And also, guys, follow 8-for-Ed on Instagram and other platforms. These guys are doing great things over here. These guys are organizing these podcasts and stuff. They are working towards the betterment of children. And I think so that since education was one of the things that we spoke about today, I guess 8-for-Ed meets that description. And also, thank you so much to Harsh and Taman for inviting us over here. And it was a great evening, an evening well spent, I would say. And we enjoyed a lot. We spoke about random stuff. We spoke about things of importance to the society. We spoke about things that fascinated us the most. And that's where we found importance in these things. And I hope that you guys watching this podcast, you guys can make some sense out of it. And I hope that we have been, useful to you guys. And thank you so much for inviting us over here. It was a great experience.
It was indeed a great experience. Thank you so much, Harsh and Taman, for inviting us. We definitely had a lot of fun. I just hope the viewers also have as much fun as we did listening to all of our journey and our mistakes and our flaws and the movies and everything.
Yeah,
the movies
specifically.
Especially about the movies.
And shout out to Fred.
Besides, guys, start watching TMKOC. It's fun. Saanika is going to start watching it today, I'm sure.
No, I'm not.
8:30 Sub TV.
Yeah. Anyways, for all the viewers who have watched it, thank you for joining us for this long discussion. Before I end up, I would say, of course, subscribe to the channel, all the things that have been told so far. If you think anything, what do you think? Tell us in the comment section. And in the description, you'll find the links to these many things. First of all, go and check out Hoppin Media on Instagram. They've got a wonderful page. Check out our page as well. Tell us what you think about both the pages. Then check out our website, 8fored.org. And that's it. And on the LinkedIn pages, all the links will be in the description. Thanks for watching. We are out. I think, we had a great discussion. And by the way, Aryan and Saanika, thank you for coming. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Thank you.
हम तोड़ गए जब तुम झुकी